Welcome back to another episode of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and we are now 20 days away from the 2025 college football season, meaning we're 20 days away from Arizona kicking off its season against Hawaii in Tucson on TNT. Mind you, these are two programs that were coached by legendary head coach Dick Tomey. He built up Hawaii. Then he came to Tucson and built up the Wildcats, where he became a legendary coach, coaching the Desert Swarm defense, him and his defensive staff, putting that defensive unit together. That and having a 10-2 season, beating powerhouse Miami in the 1994 Holiday Bowl 29-0, dominating one of the powerhouses of college football, one of the greatest teams in college football history. And then in 1998, Arizona with Dick Tomey went 12-1, its best finish in program history, finishing number 4 in the AP poll. If it wasn't for a weird game against UCLA where Tron Candidate and Chris McAllister were not there in the fourth quarter, Arizona might have won that, then gone on to a national championship game against Tennessee. Or if UCLA doesn't choke it against Miami on the road later in the season due to a hurricane earlier in the year and let Edwin James rush all over them for 250-plus yards, Arizona's in the Rose Bowl. Nonetheless, if I could talk correctly, Arizona ended the year in the Holiday Bowl, beating powerhouse Nebraska 23. God, I cannot talk today. 23-20, capping off the incredible season. Dick Tomey built these two programs, built them up, and now it's the first time they'll be playing each other since the passing of the legendary coach. So I asked Brett Brennan if they're going to do a tribute video for the occasion since he coached both programs. He didn't realize it was the first time the two programs have been meeting since that, and they might be putting something together. He's not necessarily in charge of that. That's more an administrative thing. But you know what? I have a feeling you might see some type of tribute video, something to honor the late great head coach of both programs. So we're in the middle of training camp. Arizona, 20 days out. That means they're in the heart of training camp, gearing up for the season. New faces on the coaching staff, new faces in the locker room. Seth Dagey, the offense coordinator, is implementing his system, trying to get his offense ready. Danny Gonzalez is trying to organize his defense as the new defense coordinator, ensuring things up on the defensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, Brett Brennan, there's a new energy out there on the field for him. It's no longer where's Waldo for Brett Brennan. I had people tell me that, during last year when they went to training camp. It's like, where's the head coach? He's, hard to find. Don't really hear him out there on the field. You hear him on the field now. You absolutely hear Brett Brennan's voice. You hear everybody's voice, and he's the guy leading the charge. He mentioned it in his Big 12 Media Day. Last year, he felt him and his coaching staff had to kiss a little ass to keep the players on the team. And this year, they don't have to do that. They know who wants to be a Wildcat, who wants to play for them. They're here. The guys that have transferred out, they don't care about. The guys that are here, that's who they're focused on. They know the standards of Arizona and the standards of Brett Brennan, red line, going 100, stuff like that, and the standards of the programs. So there's no holding back now. Now it's full Brett Brennan, full head coach mode, and he has Arizona gearing up for the season. Getting into spring and getting closer to training camp, one of the things that Brett Brennan and Seth Dagey talked about was not only their love for Noah Fifita as a quarterback, as a person, and as a leader, and so happy that he was coming back, but wanting to challenge the quarterback. Mind you, last year was the first season Noah Fifita started from beginning to end. The season prior, he took over for Jaden DeLora after the Stanford game and went on a historic run, leading Arizona to the Alamo Bowl, getting a 10-win season and a win over Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. Last year was his first year starting from beginning to end. And there's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Arizona went 4-8, kind of underwhelming. Noah Fifita had an underwhelming year, going from a completion percentage of 72% to 61%, with 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and being sacked 28 times. Everything kind of just spiraled out of control for Arizona, for its offense, and just the team in general, with injuries, with play calling from beginning to end. It just was a chaotic mess. And at times, Brett Brennan felt that the team let one little loss or one bad play get a hold of them, get to them too much. That's all they were focused on. Even after wins, he noticed that the team didn't enjoy it as much as he thought they would. he could tell they had a lot on their mind, and they had pressure on them, and they just couldn't get out of that funk. And that led to a 7-8 season. And one of the things that helps with getting out of that funk is not only the voice of the head coach, you know what the coach wants you to do, you're going to hear him throughout the year, but a leader on the field. Defensively, they had leaders on the field, but they were hurt. So it's hard to turn things around when your defense is banged up. Offensively, obviously, Tetero McMillan was one of the leaders. Jonas Avinea on the offense line. But the key leader that you need in the locker room, that you need for an offense, is your quarterback. Noah Fifita is a great leader and a great face for the program. Off the field, on the field, everything. He's everything you want in a quarterback, in a college quarterback. He's the rah-rah guy that gets everybody rallied around, all business, all work, all the time. But he wasn't very vocal. Noah was not the guy to take charge of the huddles, take charge of stuff out on the field. And at times, Brett Brennan was sitting there wondering, man, I'm not wondering, but wishing, man, I really need more out of him out there on the field. I need him to rally the guys. I need him to get everybody in line and get them together, because right now it's a chaotic mess. And that just wasn't his personality. It wasn't him at the time. He wasn't comfortable with being that voice. So Brennan and Daggy have challenged him to have that voice, to be that leader on the field. And during spring, you saw the development of that from beginning to end. And Noah obviously knew he needed to work on it. His coaching staff has told him. And he worked on it every single day. You saw him communicating. You saw him getting guys in order, getting the freshmen in the right position. You saw that aspect. And that's an aspect that all elite level quarterbacks need. If you're going to be a good quarterback and you're going to get to the next level, you need to be that leader. You can't have somebody shy and quiet behind center. It's just not going to work. You want that confident, a little cocky, and a little edge to your quarterback. And it feels like Noah Fifita finally has that. Again, great leader of men, great person, great human being, and an absolute great face for the program. But he had to be more vocal. That is so desperately important for the quarterback position. So he took the challenge head on. And in training camp, you've seen it. He's been more vocal. And even Seth Daggy commented when the offense wasn't running right and a couple drives and a couple plays in camp, not only spring, but in training camp as well. He went over there to go talk to them, to be like, okay, guys, this is what I want to do. And Noah said, whoa, coach, whoa, go away. I got it. I got this. Don't worry. I know what you want. I can get it done. I'll get them in line. That's big. To have an extension of the coach, an extension on the offense coordinator and the head coach out on the field is what you want and what you need. And you know what happened after that? What Daggy told us? They went down and scored. They had a great drive, but one of their best drives of practice, went down and scored. And from then on out, the offense was clicking. Because you know why? His teammates trust him. He's a leader of men, and they get that. They rally behind him. A lot of the players on this roster came back, not only for Brett Brennan, but because of Noah Fifita. And at the time, Tetero McMillan. But they came back to play for Noah. They all trust him. And when you have that kind of trust in the locker room, a lot of special things can happen. So finally, Noah has had that voice. And I want to give an example during training camp. They were working on red zone drills. And Chris Hudson, who's a talented receiver, a veteran, been around the block at Oregon and Washington State, was a high-level football player coming out of high school, is well-regarded. He had a ball in the back right corner of the end zone thrown to him. And it looked like he just mistimed his jump, didn't make the catch. Ball went sailing over his head, incomplete. But you could tell it got him down. He was upset with himself. I think he felt like he should have caught that ball, should have made maybe a better route or a better play on the ball. He didn't have his head down, but it was eating at him. And Noah came over there and wrapped his arm around him, talking to him. I don't know what he was saying. We can't hear from that far out, but he was talking to him, gave him a little pat on the head, pat on the butt, and said, okay, let's go. The next drive, they're working on red zone stuff again. He hit him for a touchdown with Hudson doing a little tiptoe drag, securing the touchdown pass. And man, you know who's the first one to love on him? Noah Fifita and the rest of the receiving corps. But that's what a leader does. He didn't let his guy get down. He brought him up. He built him up. He pointed out some things. They went out and executed the next drive. That's the difference between Noah right now and Noah last year. You're going to see that leadership capability on the field in the middle of the game. And for Arizona, if that's the case, and for the rest of the Big 12, watch out. That's a scary, scary situation. One of my dark horses for the Big 12 Player of the Year is going to be Noah Fifita. It would not shock me at all if he won Big 12 Player of the Year. If he did that, had a phenomenal year, Arizona's looking 8-9 wins. Right now, I have them 7-5. I think they're going to be in a bowl team, but it's all going to predicate off of Noah Fifita and him being a leader and getting his guys in the right place.